Welcome, and thank you for joining Between Sessions with Justin and Chaley.
Just a quick disclaimer before we start. This podcast is for educational and conversational purposes only. It's not intended to replace therapy, counseling, or professional mental health care. We are sharing lived experiences and reflections, not prescriptions, and we encourage our listeners to seek professional guidance when needed. Hi, everyone. Welcome back.
Thank you for joining this week. Today's topic is going to be discussing hidden stress of always being reachable. So both personally and professionally are the areas we're going to cover with this. Where do you think we should start?
I don't know.
What do you think it means to always be reachable?
Like to always have your phone on you?
Yeah, that's where my brain went. Like the constant piece of always, someone can always have access to us in a sense.
Feeling the stress when you don't have your phone on you. Like I try to put my phone down on the counter. You know what I mean? But I feel like it comes with stress of like, what if somebody reaches out? Like if I'm going to put it down, I always feel like I need to put it on loud because like, what if somebody needs me and I don't answer right away? And disclaimer, neither one of us are crisis clinicians. So
No.
we don't have, it's not like an on call. It's not a crisis line.
No.
This is just our work phone, but both professionally and personally, I feel a lot of stress not having my phone like right on me.
Yeah, when you said that of always having to put it on loud, there have been times that I have woken up in the middle of the night, almost in a panic, to make sure that my phone was on loud. Because, like, what if? What if something happened? And I feel like that's because I do have my phone on like a sleep mode, so only certain people would be able to go through. And I'm like, well, what if an emergency happened and I didn't hear my phone? But people used to spend hours away from the house and they only had a house phone. They weren't reachable if there was an emergency.
Those days,
Yeah.
we only had a landline that was attached to the wall.
Yeah, you're not taking it with you.
Yeah, crazy concept.
I think for younger generations, that's like not even imaginable at
Mhm.
this point in time. I mean, even for me and probably you, like it's really hard to even think about that being an option now. We just have so much access to now, even the internet, or I mean, just almost every aspect of life we can do from a phone of connection.
Yeah.
So the hidden stress, I think that being one of them, of just like the stress of not knowing what would happen or that what if. My brain always goes to the emergency, but like 9 times out of 10 when or 99 out of 100 times that phone goes off, it's not emergency.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Probably even more than that.
I was gonna say, yeah.
So putting it down, making sure it's on loud, always being accessible. Why is that stressful?
I think it's the what if. Like, what if there is a crazy emergency that I've never thought of? What if it happens and somebody can't reach me right away? Like, I don't know. It's almost like anxiety provoking.
I was going to say, for me, like it hits a point of anxiety, I feel like. Even though odds are nothing is going to happen, but like, what if? What if that thing did happen?
I feel this a lot actually because now weekly, once a week, for an hour, not even an hour, maybe a half an hour, I put my phone down and I go to the personal trainer. Out and I can hear it buzzing or I think I can hear it buzzing. And it is super distracting because I'm like, what if something's wrong? What if it's my son's school calling? What if this? What if that? And it really takes a lot of willpower to let it go and not check it.
Isn't it wild to think about that? Like the amount of willpower we have to put in, and it's a conscious piece because it would be so common to just reach for it. And even if the thought of it ring, we're going to reach for it and look at it, reach for it and look at it. And so we have to almost train ourselves and be really conscious to not do that. Huh. What else? So thinking about that, especially when you have kids, I mean, like I have family members, I have younger family members, older family members. I know that running piece for me is like, what if something happened or I want to be reachable? I feel like with kids, it might take it to another level of, especially with school and they're outside of things outside of your control, wanting to be reachable. How do you try and balance that?
I mean, I try to tell myself, even if it is the school calling, like no parent is going to always be able to answer their phone on a whim. Like this isn't like a weird thing if I have to let my phone ring and let them leave a voicemail and call them back. If it is that big of an emergency, they're going to do what they need to do. So just trying to like convince myself that it's okay. Cause, like it's Thursdays and Fridays. I don't usually work or I work
Mm,
very sporadically, but I try to remind myself like most people work during the day on Thursdays and Fridays, right? Like my husband works in a jail. He's not accessible on his cell phone.
I just thought about that
Mhm.
of like I know people that work in a jail where they don't have that contact. The only way that they would if like an emergency would be in the landline
Yeah.
that they have.
On his extension
Yeah.
work.
Okay.
And that would maybe require me to have to ask for him to talk to someone else. And I do not do that. No.
It'd be a real emergency. Okay. So when talking about like the personal piece of it, it's almost like a fear that of like something. I almost want to relate it to that fear of missing out, the fear that something may happen and we may not know, because I think fear of missing out applies both ways. Like many times we hear it referenced of the fear of like something good happening and we're not there, but there is maybe the chance of something not so good happening. I know for me, this comes down a little bit to I tend to carry a lot of responsibility or put a lot of responsibility on myself and think that, well, if I don't answer, nothing will get done or nobody else would be able to handle it. The fact is that I'm sure people would still survive. There would be someone else. If I don't answer it, maybe someone else would if in that moment I'm not able to answer the phone.
Also, if it's a true emergency, what am I going to do?
Mm.
Right. Like, I think more so to like my grandpa, who's very, very elderly, but I'm like, he lives, half an hour from me. So if it's an emergency and I do, what am I going to do? I'm gonna be like, Grandpa, call the ambulance, like if it can wait 20 to 30 minutes for me to get there or for me to see that I have a missed call or whatever, then it's not an emergency and it's okay. If it can't wait, what am I going to do? I can't teleport up there.
Right.
So
Oh.
kind of taking the responsibility off of me. Like I'm not an emergency response person.
So there are people in those roles for that. Okay. I really like that kind of separating the role of it.
Yeah.
Very good. What about when we're thinking about always being accessible? Do you ever feel like it gets overwhelming of people having that much access to us? To you?
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
get it.
because I know for me, like when someone texts back, I instantly am like, oh, I need to come up with a response. I need to respond to that person. Before, when it was house phones, you didn't know that that person had called until you got back home. Then goodness, then when they actually had voice recorders, you were able to, leave a message, but you didn't know what that call was for before that. Now we have everything right there. I know it has put pressure on me to come up with an immediate response.
I feel that a lot more professionally.
Ooh, okay.
Personally.
Okay.
I don't know why. Like personally, I'm like, my mom's fine. She can wait.
Mhm.
I'm in the middle of something, like she's fine. Professionally, I struggle with that
Hmm.
because I'm like, I don't want to leave my people hanging.
Yeah, I've also felt that. I think I tend to feel it on both sides, and that might be because the level of responsibility I feel at times. But what that has then turned into me is then I just don't respond to any of the messages and I just like let them pile up because it's just overwhelming that I've had so many people. That happens more personally than professionally because like I have a duty in a sense when it comes to that, where personally I'm like, oh, okay, I'll respond to that person because I don't have a great response right at the moment. I read it and then didn't respond, and then here it is 20 messages of that. Oh my goodness.
I mean, how many times have I had to text you like a day later and be like, I'm sorry, I responded in my head and
Yep.
not in real life.
I have done that too.
But
Or I like type the message out and then don't send it.
oh my gosh. Yep.
I hate that. It is very interesting and this is gonna sound a little bit funky, but the level of control that people have. Like people know that when they send a text message or have a call, we're immediately picking up our phone and responding to that.
You can see if I read your message. So then it becomes like, okay, I have to not open this message because then they're going to see that I read it and then they're going to expect an immediate response.
Yeah.
But that's not the case.
No.
They're not entitled to that. Doesn't matter if you read it.
Yes. Yeah, the entitlement piece. And I don't think people do it purposefully, but I think people expect a response pretty soon. Yeah.
I'll text my friend and I'll see that she read it and I'll be like,
Mhm.
come on, I know you read my message.
Right.
What are you doing that's more important than me?
And we live in a very immediate gratification within our society that like we do kind of expect that response because well, I know you have your phone. It's like wild for me to then think of like this person's not going 7 hours without their phone. What are they doing? You're right. What are they doing that's more important? Maybe working, maybe sleeping, spending time without their phone. Holy moly. But we live in a society that it is so common that we have our phones on us and accessible all the time. There is a mental piece to this. Like the notifications, whether it be texting, calling, social media, even other apps that mean nothing that are just sending us random notifications, it spikes some dopamine in our brain. And it almost goes into a withdrawal when we don't have that. And it is so challenging to fight that. There's been studies that have shown that they've put massive amounts of money into research of when the times are the best for apps to send notifications that are going to spike the most dopamine. One of the biggest ones is in the morning. We can drain all of our dopamine for the morning that can help us have a good start to our day by picking up and looking at social media first thing in the morning. It can be a drain. Yeah. So being able to think about how we can manage this in our life, because it's not going away. We're not gonna like go back to a flip phone or go back to a house phone only. Like that's not gonna happen this day and age. I love that. Do you use it?
Sometimes.
Okay.
I have it because, like, my son doesn't have a phone, so,
Mhm.
like, I want him to be able to call people if he
Yeah.
wants to. So we have, like, a phone with, like, numbers, so
Yeah.
he can call his grandma when he wants to and stuff like
Love
that.
that.
So I do have a house phone, yeah. And also sometimes, like, my husband doesn't get good service or
Yeah.
something with his phone. Yeah.
Having that reliable piece of it. So what are some ways or steps that you have taken to try and manage this so it's not as impactful or stressful?
I am actively, like, in the process of working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really am because it takes a toll on you and you get burnt out.
Ooh,
And professionally. So professionally, I have like when I meet a new client, I always make sure I tell them. First, I tell them I'm only in the office Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays. So if you text me outside of those days, I might see it, but don't expect an immediate response. I tell them I'm very upfront and I say, because I think it's
that's
great to
huge.
like lead by example. So I will say, like, I'm prioritizing my boundaries. So, like, first I say, these are the things you can text me about. I don't provide therapy over text messaging. I don't provide any type of advice or diagnosis or anything like that. If you need to text me about a general question, fine, or scheduling. If you need to reschedule, if you forgot when you're scheduled, anything of that nature, totally fine. But please allow 24 to 48 hours for me to get back to you, especially if it's outside of those 3 days that I am devoting to the office. So that has helped because then, if somebody calls or texts outside those hours and I'm like, no, I already told them, I gave them the
Yeah.
resources. I'm not an emergency. I say that I am not
Yeah.
an emergency resource. I'm not a crisis line. We don't have on call. Here is the information for any type of crisis. Like, here's the crisis line that you can utilize. Here's the 988 hotline you can
Mhm.
utilize. So I just make sure they have those resources. So professionally, I think I'm doing an okay job.
And you repeating that and practicing it, that helps hold you accountable. But then, just like you said, that helps model the expectations or the role that they can then take on as well. I think that's so important um, to be able to model that and hold yourself accountable in those moments shows that you can do it and shows that it's possible to be done. That's awesome.
Kind of the same lines personally. Like,
Yeah.
my family kind of knows that I am crazy busy. So they actually, it sounds silly, but they know if it's an emergency, they either need to like call me a couple of times
Mhm.
or like shoot me a text that says there's an emergency.
Yeah.
Um, and that'll get my attention right away. Otherwise, I'm going to prioritize whatever I have going on in the moment. So just kind of doing that. I feel like I don't know, it's like harder with family to maintain
Oh,
those boundaries.
so much harder.
I mean, we were here recording a few weeks ago, I think, when my mom called me like 3 times. And I was like, well, my grandparents aren't feeling well, so I need to answer this because I think it's an emergency. And then, like, your heart drops. You're like, God, who's dead? Like, and yeah, I picked up and it was just like, well, what are you doing? And I'm like, Mom, you called me 3 times. Well, yeah, you didn't answer. And I'm like, so leave a message.
But in your mind, it triggered that like emergency protocol. Like, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
got.
Like, she's
Mhm.
double calling me. Something must be wrong.
Yeah. It is so much harder with family and friends to maintain that. I think professionally it can be not easy, but it's a little bit more simple to hold yourself accountable because you're setting those really firm expectations in the beginning. We're not just meeting our family members. So we might have had really porous boundaries and picked up whenever, always, didn't need the text, had a more open schedule. So it's hard to then start putting those boundaries in to protect our peace in a sense or live more in the moment. Where when you're first meeting someone, it's a lot easier to then say, this is the expectations, this is what I will be doing, rather than trying to put that in and then get the lack of better word but backlash of not doing it. Well, you didn't answer. Well, I told you I wasn't going to. Or, well, we pick up like that on those 3 calls and then, well, I knew you'd answer. So it can be a little bit more challenging personally than professionally because you're starting those relationships, you can set those really clear boundaries. With personally, for me, I've tried to be more mindful of using my time wisely of responding and then shifting my brain of when I want to relax and just put my phone down rather than like being on my phone and trying to do 5 different things at once. If I'm like sitting down and watching TV or spending time with my husband or spending time with family, I kind of turn off that part of my brain of no, I'm connected and I'm doing this in the moment, even though maybe it's not an hour that I'm clocked in or that I'm specifically doing something that I'm unavailable. I can limit my accessibility so I can show up in the moment. So I've had to really make a conscious shift mentally to say, no, I'm in the moment. I'm doing this. Just because someone calls, I can still be committed to what I was doing and being present. It's been a bit of a difficult mental shift. Like I'm in the same boat. It's something that I'm working on now, but it's not something I've been super great at.
It's also hard because you have everything on your phone.
Oh,
So, like, if I am somewhere fun with my family and I
mhm.
am dedicating that time to them, and I have the cutest kids in the whole world, and I want to take a picture,
Yeah.
right? So, I like pull my phone out of my purse and I go to take a picture, and I have like all these notifications. And then I'm like, it's like an obligation to be like, oh, shoot, I should text this person back or something. So, it's hard. Like, you can't get away from it. Everything is on your phone. That is your camera. That's your calculator. It's your
It's
GPS.
your grocery list.
Yeah. So it's like everything
Huh.
is right there, which is different than the cell phone that like my first cell phone was a cell phone. You could call people. But now it's like
It's everything.
it's your lifeline.
Yeah.
You have everything.
And then thinking about that, adding the other piece of your emails on it. I know for us, kind of dipping back into that professional piece, but this is where those lines kind of blur of personal and professional. Like I can get an email maybe when I'm not working, but other people are working. Cause like we don't have super strict set hours of when we're working. So I might get an email when I'm not working. And then it puts my brain almost into work mode and I start to think about that. So that can be challenging too. And same thing, opposite side of when I'm working and I get something personal come in, it might shift my brain a little bit, but that's a harder shift, I think, because I like dedicate that time to work where personally, like, well, if I'm not doing anything, I'm just sitting there. I might be curious of, oh, what's that email say? So I've had to be really, really strict with myself of not doing that. I've caught myself sometimes of doing it, but I have to be mindful not to do it because then I'll just look at the next email and then look at the next thing. And then here I am 45 minutes when I was doing something completely different.
Okay. See, I was thinking of like client focused, but now if you flip the script, those emails, yes, because like I said, I don't work a normal
Right.
5, so I can't clock out, and say, okay, I'll check my email tomorrow. Like it's on my phone. Like I work closely with a lot of, like I work closely with the courts, social services. Like I work closely with the schools who all have Monday to Friday, 8ish to 4ish jobs. There is way more of a obligation almost to respond to those emails. So I also totally flipping the script. I keep hitting this. I'm sorry, microphone. Completely flipping the script. I will also tell interns that I am supervising. I think I said this to you when you were an intern. Like, I email things when I'm thinking of them. Otherwise, they will fall out of my brain. And I specifically say, like, do not answer an email that is like at a crazy time. And I always tell them, never, ever, ever feel obligated to answer an email right away. Like, there is never anything that like dire that you need to be answering my emails like as soon as I send them. Like, I know you want to make a good impression and I'm awesome and whatever. Please don't do that. Like, yeah, like if I'm thinking of it, I will send an email. And so I warn them, like, do not feel bad if you don't respond right away. And I'm working on that right now with one intern in particular who loves this podcast and is probably listening to this because
Trust me, you don't have to. It was such a hard adjustment for me, though. It was so challenging because I was like, well, I want to make a good impression. I want to make sure how would this look if I don't respond? It's going to look okay. It's going to be perfectly fine. But that was hard to get through my brain.
Yeah,
It
it's almost
really
like
was.
like she's setting a trap. Like, this is a trap.
I won't be good if I don't answer this one, even though she told me not to. Using that as an example, maybe that was exaggerated. Most professional things can wait until the next day, the next business day. It's not dire. It's updating a spreadsheet. It's responding to an update. But I think it's so common, especially when we're trying to make a good impression or we're pulled in so many different directions that we just drop everything and respond to things. So that then extends our workday because we are then now back in work mode and not having that separation. So something that I tend to think about is, yes, the workday ends, say at 4 o'clock. Are we still thinking about and investing that time and ruminating on things about work until we go to bed? Well,
It's so hard because we don't clock in and out in this job. Like, this job it's hard.
It is.
It's like, when is our day over? Is it over like as soon as we hang up or say goodbye to that last client?
That's such a challenging struggle that I've tried to find. So, what I've done in this is tried to make a loose schedule, but like making sure that when I'm done with work, I'm like mentally saying to myself, okay, I'm done with work now. I'm not going to think about work now. Something that has helped me do that, and I'm a big like essential oils person, is sniffing like the mint or peppermint and saying, I'm done with work. And it like helps my shift or helps my brain shift out of that work mode. Yeah, because you're engaging multiple senses and it helps me not think about it anymore. I'm done with work, and I'll repeat it twice and I will smell the essential oils. And I have been able to make more of a separation in this.
That sounds so crunchy.
It does because I will just continue to think about it. And then I'll wake up in the morning and I'll never stop thinking about it other than when I was literally sleeping. I'll think about it in the shower. And now being in a position where I don't clock in or clock out and I work from home a portion of the time, it's really hard to find that separation. Something else that I've done is having a dedicated workspace. This is one that I have not, yeah, and being firm on that, where I think you do it a little bit differently. How do you find the balance?
Yeah, I don't have a dedicated workspace.
Right.
If I'm doing telehealth from home, I actually don't do a lot of telehealth from home.
Okay.
Since it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday that I'm working, I usually am in the office Monday morning till Monday evening.
Okay.
And my telehealth is like sprinkled in.
Mm.
But if I am home, I'm gonna be so transparent. I do telehealth from bed. Like, not from my pajamas, well, sometimes, but like I will sit and I have like a desk thing.
Yep.
And I will sit in bed with my desk thing, with my laptop, and I will do telehealth from there. And yeah, that is my, that's my dedicated workspace. And then I will sit out in the living room in like my recliner, just like clicking away. And my husband will be like, "You working on notes?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm doing some notes, responding to some emails." But I don't know, to me, it's like I like that I can get work done and still be like present at the
Okay.
same time. So it's probably not the healthiest thing, but like I don't know. I just feel like I would feel weird sitting in like my room alone doing my notes when I could be sitting in my on my couch with my family while my husband makes dinner and just kind of like, I don't know, just being present, like
Yeah.
physically. And I can watch them play and it's just kind of like,
Hmm.
I don't know.
And I think it's something that is very personal. Like that might work for you, that might not work for other people, but what works for me might not work for you. It's about finding that balance
Mhm.
with it. Like what makes it effective where you have a larger family, you're having kids, you don't want to miss out on that time that they're playing or sleeping or things like that. So being able to be present and seeing those things where it might be super distracting for someone else, where you're able to lock in and be able to do that and still be effective. Do you feel like it's harder for you to shut your brain off of work then? Or are you able to close your laptop and that's it?
I really have gotten very good at being able to close my
Oh.
laptop and just being like, all done.
See, that's such a good skill. And I think that's where that allows you
It's a time acquired skill for sure.
because from what I've seen, you do that well. Like you're able to make that separation. For me, I struggle with it. And I think I have to be much more intentional of physically leaving a space or physically changing my mindset. So maybe that's something I can work towards. I love that.
But I also want to point out that like you do full days virtual from home, right? Or like
Yes.
at least half day. Like you do big chunks.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, if I am doing stuff from home, it's gonna be like a sporadic, like you know what I mean? Like I have a rescheduled telehealth today at 4, so I'm just gonna pop in and do that real quick and then, do my note or whatever. So it's not I don't it would be different if I had like a large amount that I had to do from home. Then I
Okay.
feel like, yeah, I would want my own like dedicated workspace and
Mhm.
I would want to separate that. But usually I'm getting all my notes done in the office. I'm doing all my telehealth in the office. So when I do those things at home, it's very sporadic.
Okay.
Mhm.
So you think that makes a difference?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That definitely makes sense though of having it's a different level of separation because it's not the norm. It's more of the exception that
Mhm.
you're doing it. It's the one off here and there rather than sitting down for 8 hours.
Yeah, but when I
Okay.
first came back from maternity, I was doing telehealth a lot
Yeah.
from and I tried to have, like, a designated space, I have, like, a vanity and stuff, so I set it up
Mhm.
there, but it was that I found very challenging to, like, turn off once you're in work mode. I feel like if you're in work mode for, like, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours at home, then it's harder, but if I'm, like, popping in quick to do one session, I feel like I can focus on that session and then go back
Balance.
to
Mm. I appreciate hearing that. That makes sense. One that I've heard that I don't practice, but like it made sense to me was changing your outfit. So like wearing what you would wear for work if you're working from home in that designated space. And then when you're done with work, changing that outfit into something else that would not be work related. And at first it's like, what? But our brain picks out patterns, it picks out routines. It's very simple the way our brain works in that concept. It notices what we're in and we're in work mode. Changing out of that, that's that physical piece that helps us change what mindset we're in. So that's something that if we're struggling with this, that might be effective to be able to do. I know when I first started working from home, I was like, heck yeah, this is the coolest thing. I could stay in pajamas all day. And I struggled with it. It was a weird separation. I was so off of my routine. So now I've had to be really specific of making sure I put some sort of routine in the days that I'm working from home to make sure I eat a lunch, to make sure that I stop at an appropriate time and don't just keep going or work through lunch or just not eat. So it's taken a little bit more thought where those were things that were built in for me before to have that separation of you can take 10 minutes here, you can take your half an hour lunch. Those are expected. So this can be a really tough thing to manage, especially if it's a transition and we're someone who has always worked in an office or always worked outside of the home to then being more accessible at home. That can be a tough transition to think about.
I have a point to make as
Yeah.
well. I think it's also important to point out that your supervisor makes a big difference too, right? Because Justin told me this morning that I fangirl. over our boss. I do. I fangirl over her so much. She's just so amazing. I'm really just, yeah. But anyways, it's so important because she also really prioritizes our separation and our personal lives and self-care. And that's like a huge thing to her. Like if she emails us or whatever and we don't get back, she doesn't make us feel awful,
Yeah.
you know?
I sent this to you 20 minutes ago. Why did you not respond? That doesn't exist, right? That's a good point where it allows us to then practice those same things to have a realistic balance.
Yeah. And to know, like, if someone, really wanted access to me right this second and I was practicing good, healthy boundaries and they decided to kind of go over me and speak to my supervisor, it wouldn't be like, wow, Shelly, you really need to be there for your clients. I almost feel like I would get a kudos, like, great job maintaining those boundaries and protecting your mental health. And I mean, she says that all the time.
Yeah.
So having that support, I mean, that's crucial. You can't set healthy boundaries without it.
Yeah. Without that support to be able to maintain those, that's huge. So, thinking about the ways that we've been able to find balance and have worked on this balance, because I don't think it's ever perfect. We're going to have times that we slip and maybe we don't do as well, but it does not have to be permanent. I think that's something that I've been realizing more is if I didn't do well last week, I can improve it this week. It doesn't mean that I just did poorly last week and that's what I'm going to do forever. There's that ability to change it and see what works for us. That's the same thing personally. If we are very accessible in the past and we want to make this change, people might become uncomfortable with it. People might ask us questions because they're used to us being accessible all the time, but we can make those changes. All right. Thank you guys for joining this week. If we have any questions with this or any ways that you think you've been able to manage this, especially with working from home, please feel free to share.
If there's still a way that you can make and enforce some boundaries. So that might be a fun thing to look into. So if anybody has any advice on that one, not that I need it, shout out Brooke. But anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in this week.
Thank you guys.